So welcome all of you to the Python training. My name is Nighat Naz Ansari, and I have been taking Python trainings in colleges. So I have been teaching Python, I think, since 2017. And I'll be taking your Python training batch associated with Logic Labs. So this is the weekend batch only, and it starts today. So duration is of 5 weeks. And the course fee is here. So anyone interested after this demo classes, you can join the batch by making the payment. You can register yourself to this class. For any query, please contact Logic Labs team. So first 2 sessions will be free, but the third session will be available only for the registered participants. So first 2 sessions are the demo sessions. If you want to join the WhatsApp community, you can join using the URL. And for session recordings and notes, you can access through the LMS, which is known as Graphy. Any query, you can connect to Logic Labs either through support email ID, or you can call on any of these numbers. And support team is available from Monday to Saturday between 9 to 7 p.m. in Indian Standard Time. So, but before starting with the session, let me just show you the content of Python. So here I'll be starting with the introduction to Python, then basics of Python, input and output functions in Python, operators, Python flow control that will be containing your conditional statements, iterative statements, transfer statements. Transfer statements means break and continue. Then we will be talking about Python strings, data structures in Python, list, tuple, and dictionary, and operations on this. Then inbuilt functions and user-defined functions in Python. Then how we can use the modules and how we can create our own modules in Python. Then Python packages, how to install these Python packages and why are we using these packages. Then exception handling, file handling, Python object-oriented programming language. So this was till here, it was the basic Python. And from here onwards, we will be moving to the advanced Python. So Python object-oriented programming. Then I'll be discussing NumPy, Pandas, and the last topic is Python generators and decorators. So this is the complete content of the course. If you are interested, you can get yourself registered in it. Any query regarding the course content? Any query regarding the course content? Good evening, Jhansi. Good evening, Raghu. Shweta, sorry, Ramu, Shweta. Good evening to everyone. Okay. So agenda for the day is the first topic of the course, Introduction to Python. And in this, I'll be taking history of Python, uses of Python, features, Python installation on Windows and Linux, and Python IDLE. How to use this Python IDLE, I'll be just showing you today. So this is my course agenda for the day. However, I'll not be taking up Django because it is coming under web development. So I will not be taking that. I will not be covering in my course content. So shall we start with the session? I hope everyone is ready. So before starting, I just want to ask you, what do you understand by programming? Because I want to keep my session very much interactive. I don't want to have it as a monotonous one-way delivery. So your participation matters a lot to me. I want to have it a discussion sort of thing rather than a monotonous delivery from my side only. So please participate in the discussion. So what do you understand by programming and programming languages? And why we are writing programs? Any idea, whatever thoughts you have, you can just come up with that. So what do you understand by programming and why we are using programming languages? So to interact with machine, a set of instruction passed into system to perform a series of tasks. Absolutely correct. So if I ask you to calculate 12 factorial, so how many of you, yes, Vijay, that is the answer I was looking for, to automate our daily task in our work. Absolutely correct. Yes, OS. So if I ask all of you to calculate 12 factorial, how many of you will be telling me the answer instantly without using calculator? Yes, Jhansi, for automation. Yes. How many of you will be calculating it yourself? And how many of you will be finding it convenient to calculate it with the help of calculator? So which one you will choose? The first option or the second option? So Sagar, which one you will be choosing? Jhansi, Vijay, Ramu, Constantine, right? So you will be using calculator if you want to give the instant answer. So why it is easier for you to use the calculator? Why not calculating it yourself? This first way is actually taking a lot of efforts from your side, but with calculator, you can do it very easily and conveniently. So you will not be doing the calculation. This device will do calculation on behalf of you. So you don't have to perform anything. Just feed the number into the calculator and press for the select the operation, that is the factorial here, and you will be getting the instant answer. So what you are doing here? So calculator is automatically calculating 12 factorial for you and giving you the result. So what you are giving the input. So input means 12 and the operation, the number for which you need to calculate the factorial. So this is your input, and what you are getting, the output, the value. So you will be getting the output of this. And who will be doing the calculation? Calculator will be doing the calculation. So for you, the task is automatically done by the machine, by the device. And how calculator is doing the calculation for you? So you have written set of instructions. So you have written the set of instructions. And calculator is following this set of instruction because calculator is a machine. It does not have its own brain. It will follow your instruction. And you are writing the instruction in some language. And the language is known as programming language, which is helping you to interact with the machine. And set of instruction are known as programs. And you are actually writing programs for automation. You don't want to do the task yourself. You want to perform the task through some machine automatically. And you can use the set of instruction again and again. So you can use the calculator to calculate factorial of any number. So automated and repeatable tasks you can do with the help of these instructions. And these instructions are known as programs, which your calculator or your computer is actually following. And you are writing the program in a language which is known as programming language. So why we are needing programming languages? Any idea? Is the definition of programs and programming language clear to everyone? Any problem? Then why we have to use programming language? Why can't we interact with the calculator or with the computer in English or in Hindi or in any language that you are using for your day-to-day communication? So why you want to have special languages which are known as programming language? Any idea regarding this? Yes, Vijay, automation makes our life easier. So if you calculate 12 factorial, you need to do a lot of calculation and it will consume your time. Yes, Sagar, absolutely correct. Your answer is absolutely correct. So why we are not interacting with the computer in English language or in the normal language that we are using? Because computer does not understand this language. Because computer is a machine and computer understands binary. Computer understands binary. Binary means series stream of zeros and ones. So binary language means it is machine language and we call it the streams of zeros and ones. So if it is written, then you will not understand what is this. But computer will understand this easily. So because it is closer to the machine, it is closer to the computer, computer understand binary language. So we call this language as the machine level language or the low level language. Machine level language or the low level language. But we don't understand this thing. It is not understood by humans easily. We are comfortable in, so humans are comfortable in language which is closer to English. So what we do, we choose a language which is closer to English and which can easily be converted to binary language. So you can consider a case where you know English and we have a person who knows German. This person does not know English, the person knows German and you know only English. So what you do, how to interact? You will communicate in English and this person will communicate in German. English you will not understand. Sorry, German you will not understand. English this person will not understand. So what you need here? If you want to communicate with the second person, what you will need in between? Jhansi, Pooja, can I get the answer from you? Yes, Ramu, absolutely correct. You require a translator. So translator will convert English to German and German to English so that you people will have a communication in your own language. So similarly, this is you. So you knows English language and this is the computer. Computer knows binary. So computer knows binary. So what you require to communicate with your machine, you require a translator. And that translator will convert your English to binary and the binary given by the system to English. So this translation has to happen if you want to interact with your machine. So we choose a language which is closer to English and which can be easily converted to binary. So that is why we choose particular language which are known as programming language. So these languages can be converted to binary easily. And we have different type of programming language such as C, C++, Java, Python, Ruby, Node.js. So we have different programming language. But why we are choosing Python? Why we are choosing Python? So this answer I will be giving you in my session, that why we have to use Python or why we are learning Python. So this question I will be answering later on. But I hope this is clear to everyone what is programming language and why you are writing programs. Any query from here? So I will be moving on to the next part. And if you get yourself registered in this course, I will be providing you the course material. I'll be providing you these PPTs and various codes. So first, let us talk about history of Python. Then we will be talking about why we are learning Python, uses of Python, and features of this language. So we will be covering all these things. So let us start with the first topic. So Python was designed by Guido van Rossum in 1991, and it was developed by Python Software Foundation. And what is this Python? It is a high-level programming language. Can anyone tell me why it is known as high-level programming language? Can anyone tell me why it is known as high-level programming language? Because this programming language is very easy to use, closer to English. So it is very much closer to English language, very much easily understood by humans. Yes, Raghu. Then second point, in this, we don't code much. We don't write programs much because we are using already written, you can say functions, and we call it as built-in functions. So a lot of functions and libraries are already developed by the developers. And we are just using these functions to serve our purpose. We are not writing intensive codes. We are using various inbuilt functions. So making this language high-level programming language. It was developed in 1991 by Guido van Rossum. Its syntax is very much easier to understand. A lot of functions are already being developed and we have to use these functions only. And we can write our program, our concept in fewer lines of code. So the coding is really less in Python as compared to other languages such as C, C++. The predecessor of Python is ABC programming language. So Python is succeeding ABC programming language. It is also one of the language. And from where did this language get the name Python? So a famous show on BBC named Monty Python's Flying Circus So Guido von Rossum was a great fan of this show, and he wanted to have some mysterious and unique name for his invention, for his programming language. So the language got the name Python. So this is the history of Python. Clear to everyone? Any query, any problem from any point, any question you want to ask from the here, from this slide? Okay. Then why Python is really important to learn? So Python is having actually a big container, you can say, where you have a lot of packages, lot of libraries, lot of functions, which you can use to solve complex problems very easily by writing fewer lines of code. So if you want to complete projects of machine learning and artificial intelligence, then you can complete those projects in this domain using Python. Why? Because Python is very flexible, simple programming language, supporting, it has various packages, various modules, which are supporting machine learning and artificial intelligence functions. So you can have TensorFlow, you can say NumPy, SciPy. So a lot of functions, lot of libraries are there, which are actually supporting machine learning and artificial intelligence tasks. So you can use those functions very easily to just complete these complex tasks in this domain. Very easily you can implement your project using Python. Second, use of Python is in data analytics. So what data analytics are doing? What data analysts are doing? Can anyone tell me what you are doing in data analytics? Any idea you have? What data analysts and data scientists are doing? Yes, Sagar, finding insights from data, driving meaning from data, converting your data into a meaningful format. Yes, managing data. Yes, absolutely, Yogi and Vijay. So if you have collected some data, then that data might be having some missing values. Data might be having some wrong format. That suppose if your standard format of the data is DDMMYY, and if you have not implemented form validation, then someone is actually writing the date in this format. So you have inconsistency in the format of the data. Then missing value, wrong format, inconsistency in data, right? Not applicable values. So there are a lot of things which is making your data inconsistent. So if you want to improve the quality of data, so that you can work on it, and if you want to derive maximum meaning, maximum information from this data, then you have to use data analytics functions, and you can improve the quality of data. You can derive the maximum information from this data again using Python. You can, Raghu, the problem is that Python, I told you, Python is supporting a lot of, you can say, domains, and it is having a lot of packages which are having built-in functions, making the coding easier. It is having a lot of support for these domains. You don't have to write a lot of code. Just have 3 lines of code and you can just write the prediction of machine learning. Write 3 or 4 lines of code and you can train your machine learning model. You can write 3-4 lines of code or use inbuilt functions to reduce the dimension of your data. So Python is having support for these. It is having various built-in functions, which is making Python more popular and easier to learn. I hope, Raghu, this is clear. Then another use is data visualization. So what do you mean by data visualization? I got the answer from one of the candidates in which she was saying, I think, getting insights from the data and creating dashboard. So what was that dashboard? What do you mean by visualization of data? So in statistics, you are getting data X and F, data and frequency. What you are doing, you are creating bar graph, you are creating histogram, right? You are plotting pie chart. So what was these chart? So the charts are representing your data visually. And with the help of these graphs, with the help of these charts, you can study your data very easily and conveniently as compared to normal data in theoretical format. So if you want to visualize your data, if you want to create dashboard, which is containing some graph, so you can use these graph to study the sales of your company, to analyze the return on investment, to analyze the revenue of your company. So you can use the data visualization to create the dashboard, which is having some charts and graphs for visualization, for studying your data through graphs, which is easier as compared to normal data in, you can say, theoretical format. And you easily visualize data with the help of pandas. So you can easily visualize your data in Python, again using inbuilt functions. Next, if you want to use Python for web development, if you want to use Python as the backend application logic, so you can use Python with the frameworks such as Django, Pyramid, and Flask. So if you want to connect your front end to the back end, so front end is a website, and through the website, whatever information, suppose you are filling a form, and you want to, suppose you are filling the form name, age, email ID, password, and so and so, and you want this information to be stored in the database. So database is your backend. So how this information is loaded to the database from this front end? So you must have a backend logic, and that backend logic you can write in Python. I hope the uses of Python clear to everyone, and there are many more. I have covered the most popular ones. Any problem to anyone in this slide? Any query? Okay. Thank you, Yogi. Thank you, Wes, for your response. Now, what are the features of Python? Why we are using this? So first, free and open source. You don't have to pay any license fee for it. Just like Java, it is also open source. You can download the Python from python.org and install it. And the complete documentation of Python is given to you on this website of python.org. So you can learn, you can install the Python for free of cost. Easy to code because a lot of built-in functions are there. So easy to code, you have to write lesser number of lines in the code because maximum thing you are getting ready-made. So it is not a very code intensive language. It is about how to locate these functions and how to use this function in our program, in our code. Third feature is easy to read. This is very much closer to English language, so very easy to read. It does not include those curly bracket and all these things. Very much syntax is very much clearer, simple, flexible, and closer to English language. So very much easier for the person to read. It supports object-oriented paradigm. Just like Java, you can create classes, you can create objects here. So it is also supporting object-oriented paradigm. Yes, Raghu, Python is machine-independent language. Next, GUI support. So if you want to have GUI programming, if you want to code for one window and you can want to develop some form just as you are doing in Java, placing some button, drop down box and all these things. So you can use with the help of Tkinter and Python Qt. So it is supporting GUI programming language as well. And if you want to develop gaming applications, you are beginner to you want to learn gaming application, then you can use Pygame module as well. Then high level programming language, I told you, closer to English and inbuilt functions are there. So it is closer to humans. So it is considered as the high level language because you have to code less here. Large community support because Python is open source. So a lot of communities are there which you can join. So for example, Stack Overflow. You can join the community on Quora as well, on LinkedIn as well. So a lot of community support are there and you can join this community to get the solution of your problems. If you are getting anything, any problem in your program, you are getting stuck on any of this step, you can just post your problem in this community and you will be getting the answer. You will be getting the solution from the community members, which are the experts in Python. Then easy to debug. Because it is easy to read, easy to code, so it is also easier to debug. And you can use Python debugger, PDB. So as Raghu was asking, Python is independent of the machine. Yes, it is a portable language. You can run it on any machine. Why? Because it is interpreted language, just as Java. It is interpreted language. And we are using interpreter here. So what are these interpreter? Interpreter is the translator, which I was talking about in the whiteboard slide. So you can see here on the whiteboard, I was talking about some translator. So the translator here there are two type of translator. One is compiler, another one is interpreter. So Python is interpreted language just as Java. And here the translator is the interpreter. So we are writing the code and it is translating to the machine level language. So this interpreter is making the language portable. It is not dependent on machine. It is making the program portable, just as Java. So you can use compiler and Python, compiler and interpreter, but Python is using interpreter. Any problem to anyone in this? Are all the features of Python clear to everyone? and I'll be talking about why it is easier to code when I will be doing hands-on on Python. So very less theory I'll be covering. I want to keep my way of delivery entirely practical throughout the course. And this is how you learn programming language. Yes, I was expecting this answer. That is why I was expecting this question. So difference between compiler and interpreter. So can anyone tell me the difference between compiler and interpreter? So what compiler is doing? The compiler is actually, you are writing suppose 10 lines of code. So compiler is first converting all the lines of code and then it is executing it. So first conversion of the entire program is taking place and then execution of the program. But interpreter, what it is doing? It is first converting one line and executing it. Then second line executing it. So execution of the program is done line by line. So here entire program is first translated and then executed. But interpreter, this is translating line by line. It is executing each line of a program at a time. First, it will translate and execute the first line, then move on to the second line, then move on to the third line, and so on. So C, C++, these are the compiled languages. Java and Python are interpreted languages. And the interpretation, the interpreter is working. It is not working at the machine level. It is working at a level higher than machine. So it is not directly working on machine level. It is working on a level which is above the machine. So it is working at this level. That is why it is making your code independent of the machine. And thus your code becomes portable. So whatever code you are translating, you can execute it on different machine. Yes, Raghu, you can say that. But it is giving you the portability, which is much more needed. Any query regarding this? Any query from here? Is this clear to everyone? Sagar, Pooja, Aves, Raghu, Constantine, Vijay, both Sagar, Shweta. Yes, Chaitanya, you can use Python in cloud technologies. So in AWS, let me talk about AWS cloud. All right. So here you can write code in Python and there is a service which is known as Lambda. So Lambda is actually taking the code and executing it for some event driven architecture. So you can write the code for this Lambda function in AWS and this code can use runtime of Python. So you can use Python for web development and you can use the infrastructure of cloud. Just the same thing for Azure is also. So what you are doing, you suppose for web development, you are using Python. And to write the program, you are using IDE. integrated development environment and you want to deploy this website in cloud. So you can use the infrastructure of Azure or any other cloud service provider. So it will provide you the runtime of Python. It will provide you the runtime of Python and you can use the infrastructure of cloud service provider. So rather than downloading Python in your own laptop, you can download the Python on the virtual machine provided by Azure or AWS or GCP. Clear to everyone? I hope, Jhansi, this is clear. So shall I move ahead? History of Python, uses and features of Python, clear to everyone? Thank you, Constantine and Vijay. Now, installation of Python on Windows. So how many of you have installed Python in your machine? And which operating system you all are using? So Vijay is saying Windows, OS Windows. Sagar, Windows. Okay. So those who have not installed Python, let me just give a quick demo for this. So what you have to do, you have to go to python.org. So this is your python.org. So here you can get the complete documentation. You can go to downloads. If you want to join community, which I was talking about in the features of Python, so you can join community from here. Success stories, that if you are using Python in business, education, engineering, so you can read success stories from here, that why Python is really important. So what you have to do, you have to go to downloads. So for Mac OS, Windows, and other platforms, you can just select the platform for which you want to install and download and install Python. So click on Windows. So you have the Python releases. So the latest release is Python 3, version 3.11.5. So what you do, you just click on this. So for downloads, you have download for Windows, Python 3.11.5. So you download and it will get downloaded in your machine. So 3.11.5, and then after download, what you can do, you can just execute this .exe. And when you execute the exe, you will get the MSI installer. So this launch wizard, this installation wizard will be there. You just upgrade it because I already have Python 3.11. I just need to upgrade it. Those who don't have Python, you will be installing it just like your regular software. And after installation, how to check? You just check for Python. So you will be getting this Python IDLE, integrated development environment. This is the, you can say, the environment where you will be writing the Python code. So when you click on this IDLE, you will be getting Python interpreter. And you are connected with the IDLE since you have this command prompt as the 3 arrows. And you can see that Python 3.11.1. So my system is having Python 3.11.1, but the latest is 3.11.5. So Constantine, you can just install Python on your machine. So what you have to do, if you already have Python, how to upgrade it to the latest version? So download the latest version for Windows, Python. And after that, what you do, you just need to install. You just need to, so click on this exe file and it will ask you to upgrade. And it will replace your existing installation without changing your settings. So this is how you upgrade. So if you already have Python installed on it with this MSI, you can upgrade. And those who don't have Python in their system, they can install Python using this MSI, using this installation wizard. I hope, Sagar, this is clear. Konstantin, is this very much difficult for you to download and install Python on your system? Can you try it now? So can you try it now? And if you don't have installed Python on your system, what you do, there are a lot of online IDE provided. You can use PyCharm, you can use GDB. So online Python. So you can use this, you can write the code here and you can execute it. So it is providing you the complete integrated development environment. So let me share the link with all of you. Okay, no problem. So Konstantin, you can use this online Python compiler. So you can, this is your choice. You can use any of the thing. So either use Python IDLE, which is installed on your machine, or you can go for online Python IDE. So Programmers is also providing you, Tutorials Point is also providing you IDLE, IDE, online GDB. So I personally use this online GDB. It is very easy to use. And if you are using this IDLE, so to print your output on the screen, to display some message on the screen, you have a print function. So you can see by the name itself, you know that it is printing your input on the screen, right? And whenever it is a function, so you have to use this brackets. So name followed by the round bracket, it is always a function. And suppose I need to display hello to Python IDLE. So it is a text. So you need to enclose the text either in single quotes or double quotes or triple quotes. So print is a function. So how you are saying that print is a function? Because it is followed by this round bracket. And inside the round bracket, you will be providing the value which you want to print on the screen. So if it is a text value, then what you can do, you can just include the text value inside the double quotes. And when you press enter, you will be getting output on the screen. So it is executing only one line. So it is an interpreter. So 2 plus 2, you are getting the answer 4. 3 into 16, you are getting answer as 48. But it is executing one line at a time. So this is your Python interpreter. So if you want to write the complete code and then execute afterwards, so what you have to do, you need to go to the menu and click on the file, the first menu option, and click on new file. So new file will be there. And you can write print hello, then print welcome everyone. And what you do, you just save it. So save as. So Python program, and it will save the file with the extension .py. Just as you have the text file, the extension is .txt, PDF is .pdf, doc file, your Word file is having the extension .doc or .docs. XLS is the extension for Excel sheet. Similarly, for Python program, you have the extension .py. So you can see that python.program.py is the name of my file. And how to execute it? There is a run option here. So run module. So when you run, you can see you will be getting output on the IDLE that hello, welcome everyone. So if you are directly using IDLE, it will execute one line at a time. So one line you are writing, and when you press enter, you will be getting output for that. Another line, you press enter, output for that. But if you want to write multiple lines in your program and you want to execute these lines all together, so what you have to do, you have to open a new file, write multiple lines there, save that file and execute that. And when you are executing it, output you are getting it on the IDLE. So this is my file containing 2 lines and I want to execute these 2 lines all together. So I have created a new file with the name pythonprogram.py. And on this file, you have the run option in the menu. And what you do, you run the module or use F5 as the shortcut key, and the file will be executed and you will be getting output on the IDLE. And you can see that the blue color indicates that it is the output of my file pythonprogram.py. Is this clear to everyone? Any problem to anyone here? Thank you, Chaitanya. Others, please respond. Thank you, Sagar. And if you don't want to use this IDLE, simplest way that if you don't want to install Python on your machine, use these online compilers. And you can see your first program is written here. Print is a function. And what it is doing, it will display whatever it is written here. It will display this on the screen, on the output console. This is your first program in Python, Hello World. And you can see that you have the run option here. So green color button. So when you click on this, your program will be executed and you will be getting output here. So output console is given below. So you can get the output on the terminal. So if you want to print, 10 plus 20, then you will be getting output as 30. So you can see I have 2 lines, line number 9 and line number 11. So I am getting this first output and this second output as 30. But whatever output you want to display on the terminal, on the output console, you need to write print function. You need to use this print function. So why I am saying Python is a high-level language? Because here I am only using the function. I'm not writing the code for print. I'm not telling the Python language that how to print the system, this output on the screen. And then I'm just using the function and my work is done automatically. Yes, Constantine, your query? Can you write your query in the chat box? Constantine, you have raised your hand. Can you write your query in the chat box? Okay, no problem. I thought you are having some query. So you have written a program. And why I am preferring this IDE? Because suppose if I'm making some typing mistake, so what it is giving, it is just having change in color. So when you can see that earlier when I'm writing the correct function name, then it is brown in color. But now suppose due to some typing error, I just forgot to have T in the print function. So color is changing. Now I'm having white color. So because of this color change, I can make out that I'm doing some mistake here. I'm committing some mistake here, so I can rectify it. Moreover, when I'm writing this print, it is giving me the suggestions to complete my statement very easily and quickly. So automatically I'm getting suggestions if I'm using IDE. So you can use Visual Studio Code. You can use this online Python compiler. You can use PyCharm. So there are a lot of IDE. And you can see that it is giving me automatic suggestions. And I can just click. So I don't have to write the entire thing print. So as soon as I start writing this, I'm getting the suggestion and I can click on it to complete my statement automatically. Clear to everyone? So which one you will prefer? Your Python installed on your system or any IDE such as Visual Studio Code or this online Python IDE? So which one you will prefer? Yes, Visual Studio. So I generally use this one or Visual Studio for my work. Yes, I do have Visual Studio Code. So I have installed this Visual Studio Code and I can open a new text file, all right? And I can save this file as .py extension. I can save this file as .py extension. So Python file.py. So I can use this and I can select for Python here. So it is not a plain text. I can make it as a Python file. And it will automatically take .py extension. So you can see Python file.py. And now I can write print. And it is also giving automatic suggestions. So hello and welcome to Visual Studio Code. So run without debugging. So you can see I'm getting the terminal. And I'm getting the output as hello and welcome to Visual Studio Code. So I generally prefer to use Visual Studio Code or online Python compiler rather than IDLE. So it is your choice. I have told you all the ways. Either you install Visual Studio Code and work on it. You install PyCharm. So PyCharm is the integrated development environment for your Python only. It is not supporting any other language. And why I am talking about IDE? What is this integrated development environment? Why? What it is actually integrating? So it is integrating a lot of things here. So which things it is integrated? It is integrating this input text editor. So this is my text editor where I am writing the Python program. So I'm writing the statements here. Now I am getting this output window. So this is my output console or the terminal where I'm getting the output. I'm getting the runtime. So I'm getting this run option. It is executing. It is actually executing my Python code. Then I am having the debugger. So debugger is to find the bugs in my program and rectify it. So it is having debugger as well. So all the things are integrated together in the complete environment. That is why it is known as IDE, Integrated Development Environment. You can write the code. So you are writing the code here. You can compile the code. You can get the output and you can use debugger as well. That is why it is integrating a lot of components together and we are getting these components at a single place. That is why we call it as IDE, Integrated Development Environment. I hope both normal Python installation and IDE is clear to everyone. Which I can use any. I can use Visual Studio Code. I can use PyCharm. So I generally prefer to use this one, online compiler. Any problems to anyone till here? Now all of you can use IDLE shell Python or online compiler or Visual Studio Code. Can you use all the three together? All the three? Any problem to anyone? Please, if you have any problem, then let me know. Thank you, Vijay. So others, are you not understanding what I'm talking about, what I'm teaching? So if you're working on Linux, then you can follow these steps. First is to download the Python and you can use wget command to download the Python file and you will be getting the compressed file .tgz tar file. So this compressed file you need to extract. So after downloading, you need to extract the file using the command. Then first you will be changing the directory to this. There will be a directory, a folder with the name Python 3.11.4. As soon as you download and extract the file, you will be getting this directory created. And you need to go to this directory. So cd is the change directory command. Then to install Python, you will be using sudo make alt install. And after installation, you can remove the file which you have downloaded. And you can write Python -- version to test the Python version on your Linux machine. So these three commands you will be using to install Python on Linux. And you can simply use Python on your Linux machine. Yes, any query? Constantine, I'm again getting your hand raised. Any query? So shall we take a short break now? So let us take a short break. After that, I will be moving to some actually basic program. So we will be writing some basic program and I'll be explaining the things, what is there in the program, what are the various components. I'll be talking about identifiers in Python. So Vijay, my classes will be on from Saturday to Sunday, only weekend classes. And the timings from 7 to 9 IST, 2-hour session. And it will be running on only 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. So after break, I'll be talking about identifiers and we will be just writing some basic programs. This is what I'll be covering after a short break. So let me put on the timer and my humble request to all of you, please don't leave the session in between. If you are getting it for free, so you can take the advantage and you can just watch the entire session, attend the entire session. So please come back after 10 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
So you all now can use your mics. I have enabled the use of mic to all of you so that you can answer. You can
Actually, ma'am, this is only basic you are saying, right? Not basic and advanced.
So
Not
in
full stack, right?
advance, no, not full stack. So in advance, I will be just covering the object-oriented programming, then NumPy and Pandas. It is not, I will not be taking any backend logic or Django framework. I will not be covering that.
Okay, fine. So it will be covering our 10, I mean, 5 mix means 10 section only. Every section is 2 hours, means 2 to
Yes, yes. So please, everyone acknowledge that you are present, you are back from the break. So I have completed topic number 1, Introduction to Python. I hope this is clear to everyone. My humble request to everyone, if you don't have any query, then please mute yourself. So now I will be starting with second topic, basics of Python, and I will be talking about identifiers. So here, what do you mean by identifiers? So if I'm calling Sagar, if I'm calling Constantine, so only the person whose name I'm calling will be responding. So there are 2 Sagars here. So if I'm talking about Sagar Gandhi or Sagar Rajput, so only that person will be speaking up. So your name is acting as what? Your name is your identifier. So similarly, What is a program? So program are the instruction, set of instruction, and I have to provide some input to the system because I want the computer to modify my input according to some logic, and the logic is written in the code. And I want to get the output. So I want to get the output. So input will be processed as per the logic, and I will be getting output according to that. So this input is stored where? So if you want to hold water, if you want to store water and carry your water with you in your office, so you will require what? Just let me know. You will require what to carry water from your house to your office? You will carry water in,
Say bike or car, anything. That is called machine only.
but you will be carrying water how?
In
The
bottle.
bottle.
In water bottle. You require some container,
Yeah. Container. Right.
you require some
Right,
container.
right.
So when you will be providing your input value to the system, where your input value will be stored in the container. And what is the container for the computer? It is the memory. So you have
Memory. Yeah.
memory, right? And there are lot of memory cells, just like lot of houses in your colony, in your locality. So your house is identified with the help of unique house number. So out of 10 houses in your locality, in your colony, how your house is identified? So if I want to come at your place, so how I will be identifying your house in your locality with the help of the address. So that address is the identifier, right? So similarly, how to identify
Yes.
memory location where I'll be storing my data, I'll be storing my input. So I need to have some pointer, or I need to have some identifier which, with the help of which I can identify that memory location. So it can be the name of that memory cell, and we call it as the identifier. It is just to identify the container in which I will be putting my data in the computer. And when computer is processing the input to provide the output, so output will be also stored in the memory, and from the memory it will be given to the user, to the customer. So how I am communicating with the memory cells with the help of identifiers? Clear to everyone? Is this clear to everyone?
Yes.
So now I want to store 10. So I am using a name such as A. So I will be talking about naming convention of the identifiers. So right now I want to give my input as 10. So I want to store 10 in the computer memory, which is identified by A, and is equal to is the assignment operator here. So if I am writing A is equal to 10, so what is happening here is equal to is the assignment operator. So I am having a memory cell, and memory cell is having the name A. So A is pointing to this memory location. And when I am writing A is equal to 10, 10 is assigned to this container. So 10 will be stored in this container, which is pointed by A. But 10 will be stored in the binary format. It will not be stored in the decimal format. Everything that is stored in the computer memory will be converted to binary, and then it will be stored. So the meaning or representation of this statement when I am writing A is equal to 10, it is this only, that we have a memory cell, a container in computer memory, and it is identified by the name A. And when I am using is equal to operator, so this assignment operator is having right to left associativity. So what do you mean by right to left associativity? So the value at the right hand side will be stored in the memory location pointed by the left hand side name. So 10 is stored in a container which is pointed by A. So A is the identifier here, because whenever I'll be using this 10, I will not be calling this 10 directly. I will be just calling A. So when I want to have some response from all of you, I will be calling Jhansi, please respond. Constantine, please respond. Sagar, please respond. Awais, please respond. So I will be calling you by your name. Then you will give me the answer. So similarly, if I want to have the answer, so answer here is 10. If I want to get the answer, I will be calling the name of the candidate. And automatically I'll be getting the answer. Is this clear to everyone? What do you mean by identifier and what it is used for?
It identifies the value or it identifies the pointer of that particular.
It is like the pointer to the memory location. So whenever I want to retrieve the value, I can use the identifier and it will be actually giving the value. When I'm calling A, it will be giving me the value of the container. So what is the value inside the container? It is 10. It will be retrieving the value. So you can say A is the identifier to the memory location.
It consider A is the identifier and the value is the 10, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So similarly, if I want to store another value in the memory, I will be using another variable. And why I'm calling this identifier as variable? Because I can store any value, 20, 30, 40. So value is not fixed. So we can call this as variable as well. But the name of the location, I'm identifying the location where 20 will be stored by the name B. So B is my identifier here. And this location can store any value. I can write B is equal to 20. So it can store 20. I can write B is equal to 100. Then it can store 100. So the value which B is pointing, it can change. That is why I can call these as variables as well.
And
So now,
identifiers are the case sensitives, or we can give a capitals or uppercase also.
it is case sensitive.
Fine.
So suppose I want to print the sum of A and B. So rather than directly calling the value 10 and 20, what I will be doing, I will be using A and B. So when I'm using A and B, I want to print the sum of these two identifiers, sum of the two numbers. So rather than using the two number directly, I will be using A and B. I'll be using the identifier. Now you can see it will be retrieving the value. So when I'm calling A, it will be substituting the value 10. I'm calling B, it will be fetching the value 20, and 10 plus 20, I'm getting the sum as 30. So when I'm writing print A plus B, so when I'm calling A, so it will be fetching the value which is stored in this memory cell, and it will be fetching the value 20, 10, and B is fetching the value 20, and I'm getting the result 10 plus 20. So 30 is printed. So print function is actually printing 30 on the output console. So it is like substitution. So in maths also, so if A is equal to 1, B is equal to 2, and if I ask you to find the answer of this expression, what you will be doing? You will be substituting the value and then calculating the result. You can think of this operation as the similar to the substitution of the value of some variable. Clear to everyone? Now there are some naming conventions, naming rules. So the first naming convention of the identifier in Python. The first naming rule is that these identifier names are case sensitive. So these are case sensitive. So these are case sensitive. So these are case sensitive. What do you mean by case sensitive? Suppose I am storing the value in a small a and I'm calling the value capital A. All right. And let me execute this. I will be getting error. And what error I'm getting? So it is saying that capital A is not defined. Did I mean small a? So I stored the value in a small a, but I am calling capital A. I'm calling capital A. So this identifier names are case sensitive. It is not recognizing capital A. It is not recognizing capital A. I hope the one who was asking me the question regarding case sensitivity, is this clear to everyone? And is this clear to you as well? I don't remember the name.
Chaitanya, yeah, got it.
Chaitanya. Okay. Second rule is you can have only underscore as a special character. So only underscore, not any other special character is allowed. It can contain letters, digits, and only underscore as the special character. Then the identifier name cannot start with a digit. It can start with letter, it can start with underscore, but it cannot start with digit. So it cannot start with digit. So let me just show you here. So let me write number underscore 1. And this is number underscore 2. So I'm using combination of letters, number, and the underscore. And if I want to print, so number underscore 2 plus number underscore 1. And you can see why I'm choosing this IDE, because I'm getting suggestions. And I'm getting the answer, no problem. But instead of underscore, if I write, suppose hash, so hash will make the comment. So if I'm using at the rate, instead of underscore, I'm using at the rate. So it will not allow. It is against the naming convention of the identifier. It will give me the error. So it is saying cannot assign to expression here. So I cannot use any other special character in the identifier name except for the underscore. Now I can start the number with the underscore. I can start the identifier name with the underscore. This is the valid identifier name. So we can start with the underscore. So I'm getting the answer 30, no problem in this. So underscore.
Why you are taking 2 first and 1 last in the print?
No problem.
Underscore number 2 first and 1 last.
It just because in the suggestion it appeared, the number 2 appeared for the first, at the first place, and number 1 appeared at the second place. So in addition, order of the operands is not, you can say, matter of concern. Okay.
Okay, I thought the large value will be take first and then
No,
least
no,
value is next.
no.
Okay, no issue. Okay, right.
But if you want to start the number with start the variable name with the number, so this is not allowed. So this is not allowed. So this is not allowed.
If these three values can we save in that py file and we can run it?
Yes. So you can see that this is giving me the error. So 1 underscore number. So I cannot start the variable name, the identifier name with the number. So first,
Okay. We can take two different cases. One is underscore number one, and other one is number underscore one.
so you can start the identifier name with underscore. So you
Yeah,
can start the identifier name with the underscore. You can start the identifier name with letter, but you cannot start the identifier name with a digit.
Okay.
You cannot start an identifier name. So when I'm starting the identifier name with a digit, I'm getting the error, syntax error, invalid decimal literal. Identifier names are case sensitive. So remember the example, small a and capital A. Then only underscore can be used. So no other special character. Only underscore is allowed. Right? And it should not be a reserved word. So there are some words which are reserved in Python. For example, if I'm taking print, so print is reserved because what it is doing, it is having the functionality to print the output on the screen. So the meaning of this word is predefined. So I cannot use this word as the name of my identifier. So if suppose I want to take this as print, it will give the error to me. So it will give the error. So let me just use only number. So it is saying that print plus number, so it is not applicable. So I cannot use a reserved word which is already having some predefined meaning. I cannot use this as the identifier for my value. Clear to everyone? The naming conventions?
Yeah.
Now, why I'm saying Python is object-oriented language? So why I'm saying Python is object-oriented language? So how you can prove that? So you can find the type of a value with the help of the type function. So there is a function, the inbuilt function, which is known as type. And let me find the type of value 10. So when I print this, so what I'm getting that it belongs to class integer. So it belongs to class integer means there are classes in Python. And 10 is the object of this class integer. So I can say that Python is an object-oriented programming language. So which function you have to use? Type function. To check what type of value you are using, and it is belonging to some class, and the class name is integer. Int is the class name, and 10 is the object. 10 is the object of this class. So I can say Python is an object-oriented programming language. Clear to everyone?
Based on functions only, we can call it as object oriented.
No, based on the output.
Yeah.
In output, I'm getting class is int. That 10 is belonging to a class. So I am belonging to the class of human beings, Homo sapiens. We are the object. We have the physical existence. But we are belonging to which class? Human beings. Right? So we have bilateral symmetry, we have external ear, we have backbone. So we have these characteristics. So where the characteristics are written in class, and we are the object, we are the examples of that class. Similarly, here the class is int. And what is the example? What is the object? Actual value existing. It is 10. So we can say 10 is the object of class int. So when we have classes, we have object in Python. I can say Python is object-oriented programming language.
Oh, got it.
Got it?
Yeah.
So you can check for other classes as well. So let me use 10.5, a decimal value. So now the class is float. So all the decimal values are belonging to class float. If I take the example of a string, so a string you need to enclose within single quote, double quote, or triple quote. All the quotes are working. So you can see it belongs to class integer. And how easily I'm able to detect the type, how easily I'm able to detect the class of my objects with the help of type function. So inbuilt functions are there. I just have to use these functions. I have to remember the syntax, how the way of writing the syntax, how I'm using this. I just only remember the syntax and the purpose of the function. That's all we will be doing in Python. Another function is the ID function. Is the type function clear to everyone? So the function is type because it is a function followed by parenthesis, and either you give the identifier, suppose a is equal to 10. So you can find the type of a, or you can find the type of the direct value. So you can directly provide the value to this function, or you can give the identifier, which is storing some value. So you can give identifier as the input to this function.
Even we can give underscores in the.
So if you are writing a underscore 1, you can give a underscore 1, no problem in this. So let me just use a is equal to, suppose a underscore 1 or my value. Let me just write my value because we cannot have spaces in between our identifier. So if my identifier is having 2 words, I cannot use a space in between. I have to use underscore. So my value is suppose 10. And I want to find the type of my value. So now I will not be giving directly the value. I'm passing the identifier name as the input to my function. And it will provide the same result. That class is int. And if I want to find the memory location, because I told you that 10 will be stored in some memory, but in binary format. And how I am able to identify this location? Through the identifier name, but it is having some address. Suppose if you have your house and you are saying sweet home, so it is a label, but you actually have the address to that house. So your name is your identifier, but your actual identification is your Aadhaar ID. Your passport number or your DL number is your actual identity. And I am identifying all of you by your name. So you can consider your name as the identifier and your address as your Aadhaar ID, right? So to find the address, we have the function which is known as ID function. So it is finding the address of the memory location which is pointed by the identifier. So let me just find the memory location. So I want to print whatever value you want to get on the output console. Please use print for that. And what I need to print the value of the ID, the address where my value 10 is stored. And you can see that I'm getting two output because there are two print function in step number 11 and statement number 12. So I'm having two print function. So that is why I'm getting two output. The first output is for the type and the second output is for the ID. And you can see that this is the address of the memory location where this 10 is kept. So if you want to find the address of a memory location, you can use ID function. And if you want to find the type of a value, then use type function. And A can be the identifier. A is the identifier of a memory location. So it is storing 10. So ID will give the actual address to this memory location, and type, it will be telling what type of value it is storing. So it is an integer value. So it is an integer value. And you can see that this one is the address 14052 something something, and first one is the type that it belongs to class integer. And this is the address. And how to find the address? I have an inbuilt function with the name ID. So Python is not about coding. It is about using these inbuilt functions, which is making our life easier, which is making the life of developers easier.
This memory location will be every time it's changing, or the specific, for example, we are running my value is identifier, that is a specific,
Let me just write this, right? So I want to match this value. So it is 10969360, right? So let me execute. So let me just write it 14052107096 9360, right? This is the value. Let me execute this program again, right? So it is changing. So it depends upon compiler to compiler. Some compilers are actually, if you are not changing the value of the identifier, so some compilers are providing you the same result, but some compilers are actually making a copy of this value. So it depends upon compiler to compiler. Okay. This time I'm getting.
But it is unique, right? It should
Yes.
be unique.
It should be same, but it depends on compiler.
Okay.
When we are actually checking the address, it depends upon compiler. Is the two function clear to everyone? Type and ID. And the concept of identifiers. And the naming convention. Any problem in this to anyone? Jhansi, Nanjappa, Sagar, Vijay, Yogi, Yelesh. Okay. Now, if you want to add comments to Python program, so you can use hash. So any statement which is starting with hash, it will be considered as a comment. And when you are making any statement a comment, compiler or interpreter will not be executing this line. The execution of this line will not be there because it will be treated as comment because of this hash. So when I execute this program, this is demo program will not be executed. Because this is the comment, and why we are writing the comments in the program? Anyone is having any idea? Why we are adding comments to our program?
Visually identify what we are doing.
Yes, absolutely correct. To increase the readability of your program. That when I'm writing this is a demo program. You know that why I'm writing this? Because I want to show the demo. This is my demo program. So if your code contain 100 lines and 100 lines are considered to be divided into 5 sections. So one section you are adding a comment that what this section is doing. Second section, what this section is doing. Third section, what this section is doing. So to increase the readability of your program, so that when other person will see your program, that person will have an idea that what each section of the program is doing. So you are making others understand your program through comments. And why these comments are important? Because, for example, if I am the developer, I am writing a program, and suppose I switch the company, I have moved to the another company, and in my place, some other developer is there, and that developer will not have to start the. So I have switched the company, I left this job, and now other developer is taking over my place. So other developer will not be starting the work from the scratch in order to save time. He will be continuing from where I left. So in order to understand what I have done earlier, so he will just refer to the comments in my program in order to understand what I have already done and from where he has to complete the work, start the work. So comments are really important. And you are using which symbol to make a statement comment in your program in Python? Yes, Jhansi. So which symbol you are using to make your statement a comment in Python?
Hash.
Yes, hash. So any statement preceded by hash, it is considered as a comment, and the compiler will be skipping the execution of these statements. So topics that we have covered today. So I started with Python intro, then history of Python. You should know the history, who developed it and when. Then uses of Python, applications of Python, why we are learning this, what is the importance of learning this programming language. Features of Python, it is object-oriented programming language, interpreted, portable, etc., etc. Then I started with the second topic, which is the basics of Python. And in this, I have taken up the first part, which is known as identifiers. In identifiers, I covered naming convention. Then I have shown you the demo of this identifier. Plus, I covered type function to prove that Python is an object-oriented programming language and to find the actual address of the memory location pointed by these identifier, I'm using ID function. And how to make a statement comment in Python, I have covered this. So this is the summary of what we have covered today. So can I have a feedback? Can I have a quick feedback of yours in the session? In the chat box? A quick feedback for today's session, because already it has been 2 hours. 5 minutes are left. So I'll be giving this 5 minutes for the question answer round. And can I have a quick feedback in the chat box? My humble request to everyone. Thank you so much. Any query, any doubt? You can join the WhatsApp group with the link provided by the team. And if you want to register to this program, you can proceed with the payment through the link which is provided by the team. Thank you, Sagar. Hope you will be joining tomorrow. So we will be continuing with the session. So tomorrow at the same time. Thank you, Constantine. Bye, everyone. Good night.
Yeah, thank you. Good night.
See you all tomorrow.